of Allegiance. Okay, do I have approval, a nomination? I'm sorry, correction. Do I have a motion to adopt the board meeting agenda for November 19, 2025 with the correction and the consent agenda updating the date from 2005 to 2025 for the staff development trip?
I motion to approve.
Roll call. Sandra?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
And I. Okay, we have presentations tonight. First of all, we have the STAR student from John Muir.
I want to thank you all for letting us go tonight because Yamilet was busy last board meeting Wednesday at a soccer game, and she just finished hers. So good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Whitmore, and it's my honor to recognize Yamilet Gomez Aguirre, an outstanding student from John Muir Middle School who sets a remarkable example for her peers through her hard work, leadership, and positive attitude. Yamilet Gomez Aguirre, an 8th grader at JMMS, has consistently demonstrated responsibility, dedication, and excellence in everything she does. According to her teacher, she comes to class every day ready to learn, setting a positive tone for others, and serving as a role model for her fellow students. Yamilet's kindness, strong work ethic, and willingness to participate make the classroom a better place every day. She is not only driven and determined, but also friendly and approachable, always willing to help others succeed alongside her. Her teachers describe her as a student who overcomes challenges and with grace and continues to pursue her goals with integrity and focus. Yamilet, your efforts, attitude, and leadership make you a true asset to our school community. On behalf of JMMS, we are proud to recognize you as our CJUSD Star Student.
We're going to take a picture of the board. They're going to stand. And then, on floor. Yeah. One more time. And I love the fast paced story or something. It shows you. Okay.
There you go.
I'm good at getting people's way.
There we go.
Congratulations. Okay, now we have the Q1 report, cabinet team.
Yes, good evening, Board President Cisneros, members of the board, staff and community. We're going to go ahead and do a presentation for the quarterly report. So it's going to go up, and I want to thank Mr. Hernandez tonight, who's stepping in from Sir Patterson. They're on the our technology. So you ready to go to put that up there?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the quarterly report. So if you recall, last year, one of the requests from the board was to do a quarterly update on the pulse on the health of the system, the district. And so what we are doing is relaunching that again. And so I'm going to go through it quickly. There's a lot of slides, a lot of pages, but many of them are for reference only. So we'll kind of go through them. And of course, if the board, as always, if you have any questions, you can follow up and we'll follow up in the board update. So for the first slide with the arrows, there you go. We came in, when I came in almost 2 years ago, it was why we need to be intentional, and every system is perfectly designed to get the results it does. And so we started to, at the beginning, I started to look through listening learning sessions, through just looking at data with our team. And we did see definitely pockets of excellence, like the arrows on the left, but we didn't necessarily see us moving all arrows in the same direction. And so that's what we've been doing over the last 2 years. And so, so that's what we're going to focus on really today. So with that, the next one is our roles slide. And so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at oh, I'm gonna pause for a second so that we can. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for your help as well. So we're gonna go to the next slide. So really just real quick, I want to touch on this slide, which we have seen in the past, which is our roles in our student success. So everybody plays a role in our district, right? And so whether it's the family, community, the board who sets the conditions, for me, the superintendent, and so on and so forth, even though you see all different sections in the circle, we are one circle. So when we talk about the district, we all are the district, right? So whether it's our teachers, our classified folks, our management, even our students, they're part of the district. And so we really have been stressing that this year. So we know that it's not just entities within, but we are one. We're one team, one family, and all focused on getting students graduated for college and career ready. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to thank the board because these priorities were set 2 years ago, and this was the North Star for us, right? Being able to say, like, these are the 3 things that we want to see happen on a regular basis. And this is actually the foundation for the work that we've been doing, but it's also going to be the foundation for the upcoming strategic plan, which we are thinking about calling it the Corcoran Commitment. And so what it would be is founded on these priorities, and then there would be actions, goals that the board would set, and really guiding us for many years to come, not just that we're planning on a year-to-year basis. And so we haven't changed the strategies, and the reason being is because we're still perfecting those, right? We don't want to add more, we want to focus on what we have currently. So the next slide is just, again, briefly touch on this. Leaders, really wanted to have some idea of the role and responsibility, and we start to develop that, okay, through these collective commitments and expectations that the leaders created as a whole. Next slide. So this is really a mosaic of our current district, okay? Now, we have about 3,200 students that we have enrolled. We have almost 92% of our students qualify for socioeconomically disadvantaged, right, in our community. About 72% are English learners. We have about 3% that are homeless, 1% that are foster youth, and 9% with students with disabilities. The last time we covered this and what has happened with the priorities, right? So I want to make sure as we go, you can either ask questions after each priority, or if you want to wait till the end and ask questions, you're more than welcome to do so then. Okay. So the priority 1 is we are ensuring our campuses and workplaces to be safe, welcoming, and inclusive for all. And these are pictures of this year and really just the inclusiveness of what's happening, right? So we have all kinds of stuff going on in our schools. And there's a lot of just good things happening. Now, I will also in this presentation, it's not just about the good. We also will show the areas that we need to grow because we have those as well, right? So definitely we're going to cover those as well. So we go to the next slide. So this is the dashboard. It just came out actually on the 13th, I believe. And what it does is this is the state data. So this is not ours. This is ours, but it's given to the state, and this is the state reporting it. So that's the validity of the data, right? So if we look at the suspension rate year by year, as you notice, right, we start off in 2019 with 5.4% suspension rate, and then we started to grow. 2024, we're at 7.15 or 7.1, sorry, and then we started to drop. So we're actually declining in our suspension rate, which is great, because that means that some of the work that we've been doing around tiered intervention for support is beginning to work, right? In 2023, on the upper right corner, that's the dashboard year that or gauge that the public sees and the state reports on. We were in orange, we had about 6.9% of students suspended at least one day. Okay, in 2025, we are now in yellow. We have decreased, and that's a good thing, right? We want to actually be in blue. Okay, and so we've seen that change. So that's good. Now, as I say this, does that mean that we don't have students that are misbehaving, that everybody's good? No, we do have some students that are misbehaving. We have some student discipline that we're continuing to work on. But if we look at overall, we're seeing that decrease, right? And I know I don't want to steal the thunder of our CHS folks, but I'm sure that they'll talk about in their report all the great things around the behaviors that's been happening. And that's a testament to when we create systems and everybody's aligned, remember those arrows, and they're all aligned in the same way, then we begin to see results, positive results, right? And that's what we're seeing. Next slide. This is a snapshot of students with one or more suspensions. This actually feeds into what we report on the dashboard. So 23, 24, 24, 25, that's the end of the year. Those are the year-to-date totals, right? Or those are the annual. In the last column, 25, 26 is the year-to-date. If you notice, we are currently sitting at 2.4% on our suspension rate. So if we continue in the same model, the same vein trajectory, we can potentially cut our suspension rate by 2/3. Okay. And so, and that's really, again, a testament to our classified staff, our teachers, our site leaders who are all working on teams to be able to identify which students need the most help. Okay. And so that's that. Next slide. In our dashboard, we also, in priority 1 is chronic absenteeism. One of the things is, if we want safe, inclusive, welcoming schools, then students need to be here. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, why are we having students that don't want to be here? What's the root cause, right? And so we notice this again is from the dashboard, the first 3 that I'll go through. In chronic absenteeism, we saw that back in right after the pandemic in 2022, we were sitting at roughly 49%. Almost 50% chronic absentee, right? But that was not unheard of in our districts overall throughout the nation. Okay, so I also want to call that out too, that we had a lot of students that were struggling to get back to class, if you guys remember that. Okay, then the team, even back then in 2023, actually almost cut that in half, which is pretty amazing, right? So it got down to 29%. But in 2024, we got down to 21.9, and in 2025, we dropped it again a little bit to 20%. And so that's really the great work of our community contacts, our when parents are contacted by teachers, when they're contacted by schools to see what's going on, we see that students are that they feel that they're valued and they're going to come back, right? And so we're still in yellow back in 23, and then now today. The graph on the bottom, I know it's really small, but right now in November, if we were to look at overall this year, we're sitting at about 15%. So we're at about 5% less than our annual rate last year. So if we continue that progress, we can look to drop at least 5%. And so again, these are predictive scores at this point because we still have a lot of time in school, about almost half a semester to go, more than half a semester, but we're on a good trajectory. So again, I want to thank all of our team for really focusing and working with our students. Next slide. So this one is schools at a glance. So this is the dashboard. If we were to look at it, and they don't really have this this visualization, so we just kind of created it, but based off of their data, the state data. So you can see, I'm not going to go through each school, but you have Bret Hart all the way to John Muir. And it shows you what they were in suspension in 2023 and what they are now in 2025, right? What they were in 2023 in chronic absenteeism, where they're at in 2025, okay? And so the reason why Corcoran and Kings Lake don't have data is because the state stops chronic absenteeism after 8th grade. So they don't measure that. So that's why it's there in grade, okay? All right, and the last piece before we end with this priority is the next steps. So if we go to the next slide, please. So these are some of the things that we're continuing to work on to make sure that we continue that trend, okay? Then again, kudos, a lot of them are sitting in the room today, are site principals that do this work day in, day out with their teams, and as well as teachers that are here in the room as well, okay? It's a collective effort to do that. So the tier 1 and tier 2 teams, they're doing an amazing job. We had the Hannigans, which is the next bullet. They're a group that comes and works with us. They just finished. Actually, they owe us a report, so I'm going to ask them for that report because they do owe us that. So you get an update on where we're at as a district. But they basically said it's night and day. Like when they came here at the beginning and what they see now in our sites doing their tier 1 and tier 2 meetings is why we're getting the results that we're getting. And so it's because we're focused. We're looking at kids, kid by kid, and we're trying to do our work. Now, are there kids that are still misbehaving? Yes. Okay. But if we look 20, 30, 40 years ago, were there kids misbehaving back then? Yes, right? So we need to, and that's not to minimize that, but there are some students that need a lot of support. And so those are the next steps that we're taking. But overall, for many of our students, they are here to learn, right? And we saw one just right now, a star student, right? Soccer, doing what she do best. There many students are like that. And I don't want to minimize all those students, right, for the great behaviors that they're doing. And then there's other things there, defining roles and responsibilities for student support staff, engage in customer service training for classified. So that's something we're working on to do that. And then engage in crisis prevention training for our classified staff and some selected certificate staff as well. So there's still a lot to go, right? So I don't want to walk by and say that we're just painting a rosy picture, but this is the data shows the reality, right? Okay. Any questions on priority 1?
No.
Okay.
And the only thing is, instead of comparing end of the year to what it currently is, on the next time, if you can give us actuals for what that quarter was to this quarter.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great idea. So we'll definitely work with Parsec, we work with to try to get that done. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right, next one. So priority 2. So Dr. Vargas is going to walk us through these slides here.
Yeah, great. So priority 2 is primarily focused around our instructional program. So I'm going to walk us through some data as well as then talk about some of the strategies that we've been using to continuously grow. So if we could go to the next slide. So this, I think we skipped, was there one before that? ELA. Okay, there we go. So what this represents is the district-wide perspective of how many of our students are meeting the expectations for their grade level. So orange, of course, means that they are not meeting it. Yellow means that they are very close to meeting the standards for their grade level. And then where we really want to get our students is green and blue, which means that they're meeting the expectations for their grade level. So again, this represents the entire district and their progress on our ELA results. And again, I'll clarify. When I say the entire district, remember that we only assess grades 3 through 8 and then 11th. So that's what's represented in this graph. The top bar represents where we were in 2014-15. And then you can see in the 2023 school year, and then what is outlined in the 24-25 are our most recent results. And we're seeing the trend that you want to see. So you want to see the orange decrease and the yellow decrease, and you want to see the green and blue increase. And so you can see we have made steady progress over the last 10 years to ensure more and more of our students are meeting the expectations for their grade level in English language arts. Next slide. So this is the same graph, but representing our math outcomes. And we know that math is an area of growth for the district. However, you can still see the same trend. We see the orange continuing to decrease over time, and we see our green and our blue increasing over time. So these are indicators that we are headed in the right direction. Next slide. This line graph is one of the ways that the state represents this information. They call this measure the distance from standard. So right now we are at a negative in both ELA and math, But our goal is to get closer to 0 and then surpass 0 and go into the positive. That being said, you will see that there is steady growth over the last couple of years and noticeable growth from 23-24 to 24-25. So again, another indicator that we are continuing to show progress and our outcomes are continuing to get stronger in both of those subject areas. Next slide. So similar to the color-coded table that Mr. Pacina showed in the previous, the state also has indicators for English language arts, math, our English learner progress, which is measured by the summative LPAC, college and career at the high school level, and our graduation rate. There's a lot of information on the slide, but I will say yellow, green, and blue is good, right? Yellow means we are sustaining, and green and blue mean we're progressing. There are areas, as I mentioned, math continues to be an area that we need to work on as a district, and there are a lot of initiatives this year dedicated to that. But you can see, there's been a lot of other progress in other areas. For the English learner progress, the other thing I will note is that we added a second English language development coach this year, so that the elementary has their own, and then the secondary, middle school and high school have their own. So we'll get continued targeted support to continue to help growing in that English learning learner progress indicator. Next slide. We also wanted to show you how we were doing relative to other districts in our area. Kind of same color scheme here. Yellow, green, and blue are good. Orange and red mean we're making progress and there's work to be done. So you can see Corcoran is the third one down from the top. And yeah, we do have a couple of oranges, but we have yellows to show we're sustaining the growth that we're making, and blue showing that we are going above and beyond in terms of growth and performance. And you can see how that compares relative to some of our neighboring districts. And if the next slide, you can see where all these districts were in the year previous. So everybody has made progress, but we are particularly proud of continuing to hit some of the blues and continuing to translate some of those yellows into greater growth and work towards greens. Next slide. So how have we been doing this and what's our continued focus? A big part of the work that the instructional leadership team has been doing this year is around alignment. We want to make sure that students go through our program and have a coherent experience. And so we've been focusing on these 5 key levers: our instructional practices, our academic intervention systems, our data and assessment systems, our PBIS practices, and our professional learning collaboration structures. Across those 5 areas, we've been really thinking about how do we create alignment for all of the schools so that our practices are similar. And as students transfer to different campuses, that they're experiencing very similar supports and services. We are also continuing to build up our coaching team and our professional development. We're just piloting a new coaching platform tool to help us to be able to organize all of the great things that we see happening on our campus so we can leverage those and continue to scale. As I mentioned, some of the work that we are doing this year is focused on math. In particular, we are looking at how do we want to build our adoption process for our math curriculum that's coming up pretty soon. And so we have 2 different teams who are thinking about what does the vision look like for our math vision. And these are representative teams that include teachers, coaches, and leaders from all of our different campuses. We are also continuing to partner with UC Merced for those accelerated math camps that have had a lot of success. And we hope to leverage our partnership with the RAC this summer to expand those offerings to even more students. Lastly, I will say we just have this ongoing commitment to continuous improvement. And so we are consistently looking at our data with our teachers and setting goals and thinking about the adjustments to instruction to continue to meet the needs of all our learners. So that's it, just a little bit. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to field any of those at this time.
Okay, so the last one's priority 3. And really, this is all photos because this is really about intentional, about engaging our students, staff, and families on a continuous basis from the board to the classroom. And so we heard loud and clear way back 2 years ago when you established this, and it was more than just, it's not just about back to school night. There has to be more than that. If you guys remember that, or going to a game. And so really hats off to our school sites because they've done an amazing job of really opening up even more opportunities for parent engagement, more than just a school site council, ELAC, any of those. So this is flip to the slide real quick. So we'll go through really fast. So here's our schools. We see John Muir here is just have a lot of clubs, a lot of things going on. I know that we've all talked about the band there at John Muir, and it's a great opportunity for our students. Our BAPA teachers are here today, and I was just congratulating them this morning on the tremendous work that they're doing. And let them know that I know that you guys have all commented in one way, shape, or form about them. Let them know about that as well. They were very happy to hear that your support's there. And so that's that. Pastries with principals, pizza with principal. That allows for parents to come in and connect with Mr. Whitmore, but every school site is doing that, right, in some way, shape, or form. The next slide. So we have just recently we had the high school do the upper left hand corner, the Veterans Day. So that was really good. We've had the blood donation drive with our health pathways. There was a Dia de los Muertos event that Kiwanis helped with, and that was pretty amazing too. We had a mariachi that was there, and it was a great vibe, right, that day, and really, really great. We had homecoming, just ways for the students to get involved. And we had Ms. Botil last time give you really a data perspective from a community member that said, as a mom, right, I remember what she said last time was that the school pride has really picked up, right? And again, hats off to Mr. Larkin and his team on that work. Next slide. Again, just the sports, volleyball, football, our FFA, right? We always want to, just it amazes me on our students who you'll see like they're an FFA, they're going from that to being in a sport to playing in the band all in the same day, right? Like they're very active. And so, you don't always see that. There are schools that are pulling teeth to get students involved, and we're the opposite. And that really is a testament to all the staff that are encouraging our students to do so. Next one. Again, in our lower grades, this is our Brett Park Math Night, the Parent Teacher Conference Week at all our schools, pastries with the principal or coffee with the counselor. And, many of the schools did the Ruby Bridges Day that we always do. And so all that is to engage families. And so I know that we have the numbers and we'll collect those and share those next time. But every time that a school is doing something, their numbers are in the hundreds, right, of participants. And so again, it's just, their dedication to seeing families come out. And so it's very great work that they're doing. Last part, the key next step for Q2 is just really maintain the level of family engagements at the sites. We're going to continue to increase our social media visibility. But we've also, if you haven't checked yet our new website, we're going to continue to build that, build some of that out. I know we have to update some photos and whatnot, but it's really to get so families have access to information there as well. So we're continuing to evolve that, but that's there. Our advisories that we have, I'm not the only one that does advisories, our sites do as well. So they meet with students, and that helps to give them a different take on things. And then we're going to begin to start a communications plan. And so we started to do that work a little bit, and we're going to continue to do that. That's the goal, is to finish up by the end of the year. Okay. All right. So with that, any questions that you have? That's the last one. The other slides are just reference slides for data, extra data. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so good evening again, Board President Cisneros, members of the board. I'm going to brief this pretty quickly. So a few weeks back, give you a packet, and it's again there at your desk on the management evaluation process. And so this is just informational as we launch that. But we wanted to make sure that you were aware of the process and everything that went through that. So we're gonna go ahead and just kind of go through that pretty quickly. Again, I start off the slide deck with our priorities and we wanted to make sure that the process lived out the priorities, right? That was one thing that was important. The other thing is that the leadership commitments expectations were also found in the evaluation tool. Okay. And so the purpose of accountability. And so this one is important, the purpose of accountability. And so right here it says accountability, the ability of people to understand what is expected of them, exercise authority, and take responsibility for delivering results is an important dimension of organizational health. And I put that quote in there because it's important that we really look at the evaluation process is a part of the organizational health. When people are unclear about what they're expected to do, then it becomes very scary, right? They don't know what is, what door to go through, what autonomy they have, all those things. And so for our leaders, it was no different. And so we really spent some time and hearing the board about having accountability, but you can't have accountability without having clarity. And that's what this was about, right? Awesome, thank you. So go ahead and go to the next slide. Next one. There we go. And so that one is again, just accountability is really about understanding expectations, exercising the authority that they have, and taking responsibility for delivering the results, right? Next slide. So research, and WestEd is like a very renowned research organization in education. They're like the Mayo Clinic of the education world, right? Mayo Clinic's like the health world. WestEd's the same kind of counterpart in the education world. And they said principal evaluation should provide information about the most important aspects of a principal performance, what principals do, how they do it, and the impact they have on their schools, teaching, and student learning. That's what the evaluation should have. We could also say that for any manager in our system, right? That it's what they do, right? The results they get and how they're impacting schools, teaching, and student learning in some way, shape, or form. So next slide. So our problem of practice was this. How might we create a research-based evaluation tool and process which builds a culture of high expectations, provides meaningful feedback for personal growth, and maintains accountability to student outcomes? Now, what we didn't want was an evaluation process that was an I gotcha, because an evaluation process should be a growing tool, should be a place where it gives us feedback so we can grow. So this is the process that we took. Next slide. So our journey was pretty quick, but at the same time was very intentional. So in June, we began the discussion on accountability and we introduced the capsules. Okay, and the capsules are the California Leadership Standards. They're research-based. They are similar to the CSTPs that teachers are evaluated on. So we use that for teachers, but we didn't use any really research-based tool for our leaders. And so we wanted to make sure that we looked at something that was California aligned and also gave clarity around their role. In August and September, we reviewed the capsules, the process, and gathered feedback. So the leaders along the way were asked, do these align? What do we need to change? And we had some really good discussions. And I was proud of our leaders because we had a classified certificate in there. So we had Mr. Rojas, right? We sent it alongside Mr. Larkin, and they're looking at the same tool. And they're asking themselves, does this apply to my work? Right? And then we're really wanting to make sure that it was a tool that not only was compliance driven, but more so it helped them to grow as a leader, right? Give them good feedback. And then in November, which is now, we're informing the board and then implementing. And along the way, we've been informing the board of the process through updates and whatnot. Right? So next slide. So I'm going to walk you real quick through the difference between the current evaluation process and the one that's going to be implemented, right? So this is the evaluation tool for classified management. That's like Mr. Rojas, right? Mrs. Moreno, right? And they are evaluated on the same tool. They were evaluated on the same tool as our classified staff, but they're two different roles, right? And so this was what their evaluation was. And what would happen is they would get the top part. So as an evaluator, you would say compliance with rules, regulations, and you would mark, right? You know what, I think Andre follows a job, he's a 3. And that's what it would be. And then you get through all the check boxes. And then at the bottom, there was a whole nother rating, but didn't align with the top. So even though as a supervisor, I would rate the top part, I still had a subjective mark at the bottom, right? And then I would choose those down there. And so that's one of the concerns was Mr. Rojas's job as the director of MOT is extremely complex, right? And that those elements there weren't really necessarily showing the complexity of his work. So we couldn't celebrate or identify both areas of strength and growth based on this tool. Okay, next slide. This is the new. So the table on the left is the capsules. And I'm not going to read all that, but there's 6 standards. And they run everything from development and implementation of a shared vision all the way to external context and policy. And what we said with classified management is we asked them what elements don't align. So you see 2 that are crossed out, right? Because our classified staff, although they have an impact on curriculum and instruction, it's not direct. And so the elements didn't align with their work. So we went ahead and crossed those out, right? But everything else did. And I was proud of them because they were like, hey, we want to make sure that we can touch as many of these as possible, right? Because this is what California Staying a Leader is. We want to rise to that occasion, right? So I remember that day, you know, it was pretty awesome to hear them say that. On the right, the green, if you see there, it's very small, but it's like 4 shades of green and 4 columns. That has huge descriptions. That's a rubric. That tells them for one element, how they're rating themselves and how we rate them, and it gives them specific examples. Okay, remember the one before? Can you go back one, Rudy? The one before, just back there. Look at the example in that box versus what they have on there. Go back to the other one, the example in the box in the group. Super detailed, so they know exactly what is required in each one. That's clarity. But they also know, as a leader, I know that that's where my autonomy is at now, right? So it's very clear. Next slide. So for certificate management, on the left side, the evaluation areas, those are all the elements that are on the old evaluation tool, right? So safe and orderly environment, all the way down to personal and professional attributes, okay? On the right is an example of instructional leadership. So as an evaluator, I have a scoring rubric of 1 through 5, right? So this is kind of like golf, right? It's the lowest number versus the highest. You don't want to have a lot of high numbers on this eval tool because then it's a bad eval, right? You want to have low numbers, so it's opposite. But when we look at instructional leadership, which is a big part of our job, it would be like in healthcare, healthcare professionals being judged on or evaluated on the survival rate of their patients, right? And how many patients are healed in the hospital. That's what you'd want to see. That's what the instructional leadership has. So it has a quick definition, right? A couple sentences, and then it has like a little blurb about what was outstanding. But not every single one of those bullets on the left has that outstanding description. So then it's hard for evaluators to do because now they're subjectively saying, well, I think you're a 1, I think you're a 3. It was very subjective, right? And it was hard to get feedback off of that. So go to the next slide. So the new one, again, the columns, it's very clear. It says these are the things based on research that leaders should be doing. And if you want to be on the right as the best, this is what it should look like. If you're not, if you want to do the minimum, then it's on the left. That's what it looks like. Okay. And it's very clear, very, very concise. And then the elements on the certificate side, they own all of them. Okay. All of them. And so now for, you know, Mr. Larkin or, you know, Ms. Reese, it's very clear. And as they do their evaluation, they can point to, these are the things that I'm doing, and this is why, and this is what research says, and the state, right? So we're aligning their evaluation directly with what the teachers have been doing, right, in the CST piece. So that's accountability because it's clarity, right? Last slide. So our new management evaluation process will be this, going forward in the future. So the goal development and review, that we're not really changing much. The one part that we are changing, one is the tool, but we're also changing the check-ins. So instead of it being where I meet, let's say I meet with Dr. Vargas at the beginning of the year, and then we have a meeting mid-year, and then we have an end of the year meeting. We meet in July, October, January, March, and the end of the year. And they're quick check-ins, but it's where are you at? How are you doing with your goals, right? And how can I support you? What supports do you need? Those are the questions that should be asked, not you're the only thing is like you're doing wrong here. Like this is the stuff that is not happening, right? If that is, then yes, we do have those conversations, but we also want to build our leaders up. We want to make sure that they have that opportunity to grow, right? And that's this process. There's also a piece in April and May, and this was agreed upon by all the leaders, is that they would do a self-reflective 360 feedback survey. So, for example, Dr. Vargas will have we will develop the survey together, and it'll be short, not super long, but she'll choose people that she works with that she'd love to get feedback from. She gets those survey results. I don't as the evaluator. It's for her as a self-reflection tool, so she could see her impact on the people that she is serving and supporting. Okay? And so it's a way to be able to see really being reflective and not just the end of the year and then we're done, right? It's a growing tool. Okay. I think that was the last slide for questions, if I believe that. So questions, feedback, anything?
Had you completed the form, the complete outline of the form?
Yeah, so it's there. There's a packet there, and I had provided that to the board before, and it's just another example of it. And it has a process. So it just mirrors the capsules. We just kind of put in our own brand, but it has the continuum there.
Can I request that you give us all presentations and reports by Monday to give us adequate time to give you questions?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
No further questions? All right, we have reports. We have middle first, Benjamin Gonzalez from down here.
Good evening, board members, district administrators, parents, and community members. My name is Rafael Gonzalez, and I'm this year's John Muir Middle School ASB class president. Tonight, I'd like to share some great things that are happening on campus. Tonight, we'll start off with academics, where the second quarter progress reporting period has just ended, and students are continuing to work hard in all of their classes. 7th and 8th grade students at John Muir Middle School recently completed the PSAT for the first time and are excited to see their results. This week, Mr. Whitmore hosted popcorn with students, pastries with parents, and pizza with parents. These events were a great success in communicating with our students and families of John Muir Middle School. The John Muir Middle School theater program is putting the finishing touches on the preparation of upcoming production of Reindeer Games. Please look out for an invitation to their performance on December 10th, 11th, and as well as the 12th. The soccer season at John Muir Middle School for JV and varsity teams is getting close to the end of the season, with varsity teams fighting for playoff spots, and the JV teams are challenging their skills by playing varsity schools from other middle schools. The John Muir Middle School wrestling team continues to practice and is getting ready for upcoming tournaments. Last Friday, Miss Abu Baker and her leadership class led the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day last Friday, and it was a great event. Thank you for letting me share all the great things going on at JMS, and I look forward to coming back and sharing again. Thank you.
Mr. Jason Levitt.
Hello everyone, good evening. This week, ASB rolled up their sleeves for a campus beautification project. Students cleaned our rooms and storage closets to make way for new developments on campus. Great teamwork for a better learning environment. We also had an amazing Veterans Day assembly that recognized a few of our own veterans and even had Mr. Richard Valley speak to our students about the military. It was a humbling experience and all the students were very respectful, a great sight to see. Our fall sports season has officially wrapped up and our athletes gave it their all. Now we're diving into winter sports, and aside from the weather delays affecting soccer, our teams are off to a strong start. We're also excited to announce that our competitive cheer program is back. They'll be competing in various towns representing CHS with pride and Panther spirit. ASB has been spreading some positivity around campus too. In the main hallway, we have a giant thankful turkey where students can write messages of gratitude. It's fun to watch it grow with kind thoughts from our Panthers. To get everyone ready for this upcoming holiday season, ASB has also created 3D snowflakes that will be hanging throughout the hallways after Friday. Festive and cheerful for all to enjoy. ASB will also be kicking off finals week with holiday dress-up week from December 8th through December 12th, giving students a fun way to show their holiday spirit. And after a long week, they plan to host a movie night for everyone to relax and enjoy. It's time to celebrate our CHS students. Students achieved 0 interpersonal conflicts throughout October, demonstrating strong Panther pride. To celebrate this accomplishment, an extended lunch will be held tomorrow. Dipping Dots will be on campus selling treats. We'd like to congratulate on our students to their continuous success on our campus. Our drama class is working hard, getting ready for their upcoming play. Students are rehearsing, building sets, and preparing to put on a fantastic show for our community. Finally, our CHS band just finished their amazing season coming back home with a trophy from every competition they went to, bringing home 3 third-place trophies and 2 first-place, with many more including plaques and banners. We're very proud of our Panther band and wish them all the best with their upcoming concert season. There's always something exciting happening at Corcoran High School, and we're proud to share all the amazing things our Panthers are accomplishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent report?
Yeah, good evening, board presidents, distinguished members of the board, staff and committee. It's great to see our students presenting and showing all this great stuff that's happening at our sites. First of all, I want to acknowledge the deep hurt in our community tonight. We lost one of our students in a tragic act of violence last night. On behalf of the district, I extend our love and condolences to the family and all who are grieving. And I also want to thank our staff who came together last night and all day today to care for our students and staff, counselors, teachers, classified staff, administrators, everyone, transportation, nutrition, even our office teams all stepped in so students had a safe place to land this morning. That is who we are at our best. Our schools are the hubs of Corcoran and this district. All of us together is a circle of support around those hubs. We're called to be a lighthouse for our community, welcoming, safe, and inclusive, just as this board has charged us to be. We cannot control everything that happens outside of school or the conditions our students come from, but we can affect the culture inside our departments, our schools, and our classrooms. When I was a teacher, I learned quickly that my classroom culture started with me. I set clear expectations, routines, and engaging lessons. Just as important, I met students with empathy. I greeted them by name at the door, learned their stories, and made sure they knew our classroom was a safe place. I was not always the strongest content expert on campus, but my students rose to high expectations because they knew I genuinely cared about them. We have many staff members in Corcoran who do this every day. I myself see it when I visit classrooms, offices, talk to our classified staff, visit cafeterias, and walk the playgrounds. To those of you who are living this every day, thank you. You are making a difference in the lives of our children. At the same time, we know from our data and from what we experience that some students are still struggling with behavior. And I don't want to walk by that, and we did so in the presentation as well. It is fewer than before, but each one represents a young person in need for more of us. From preschool to 12th grade, our students are asking us to do this, and this is what they're saying in my advisories and in our SWAT sessions that we've had. Meet them where they are with empathy, not with sympathy or pity. Hold them accountable and teach rather than ignore or give up. Challenge them with real learning, not just an activity to get by. They want challenge, they want to learn. That they ask that every day. Listen to them and believe that their dreams are possible. In my student advisory groups, our students say clearly they want to learn, they want to be pushed, and they want adults who care enough to set high expectations and stay in the work with them. Tonight, I'm asking all of us, myself included, to recommit to that work. If any of us have grown discouraged, frustrated, or tired, this is our moment to reset. Our students do not need us to be perfect, but what they need us to be is to be present, consistent, and hopeful. We must be their hope, their coaches, and their champions, not district versus site or department versus school, but one corporate team united around our students. As we finish this semester, let's finish it strong. Let our commitment be to every student who walks through our doors. We're moving in the right direction as we've seen tonight with the data. We're not perfect and we're not quite there, but we're moving in the right direction. And we can continue to move in that direction together, changing the conditions so that every student in corporate has the opportunity to thrive. I want to thank you and over my time.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board of Trustees reports. Thank you. Incorporating property at CFA.
I'm in the flesh today. Well, I just want to start by telling you that there's one important skill that I teach my students. That's perspective. So perspective is often based on experience. So keep that in mind as I read my report tonight, okay? Good evening, everyone. I am Roseanne Salcido, Brooklyn Faculty Association President. It's Wednesday and the fog has appeared earlier than usual this season. Our district is definitely in need of a foggy day schedule. Teachers in the district have been requesting a foggy day schedule for several years since the majority of us do not live in Corcoran. Also, several of us transport our own children to this district. She's right over there. This is one of the many important issues that CFA would like to address with the board. Another issue is the TK MOU. CFA has tried to discuss this issue with the district for quite a while. We recently received an email to meet next month. This is an important issue for TK teachers that needs to be addressed and taken into consideration. In a previous conversation about it, Mr. Pacina mentioned that the district was advised not to consider the TK MOU. That is an unacceptable response, considering it affects teachers' working conditions. Now, contrary to the data that was presented tonight, remember that we teachers are the ones in the classroom. Teachers in the district have been dealing with misbehavior after misbehavior in the classroom. Teachers are beyond frustrated when a student continually repeats a behavior that disrupts the learning environment and or becomes violent. Teachers are beyond frustrated when we do not get admin support. Teachers are beyond frustrated when admin have been advised not to suspend and or expel students for repeatedly violating ed code and our board policy regulations for major infractions. That's not necessarily their fault. Teachers are beyond frustrated when we are trying to protect the safety and educate the students in our class, but cannot do so because there's no real consequences for those students who do not follow the school rules and or board policy regulations. This is happening on grade levels, from TK up to the high school level. Our job is to teach the standards and ensure that all students can learn in a safe environment. Students need to be held accountable for their actions towards other students and staff in and out of the classroom. Teachers are dealing with misbehaviors beyond our work requirements and or our credentials. Now, in a recent article in the Corcoran Journal, it was reported that our superintendent, Mr. Pacino, was offered a contract until 2029 with an outstanding base salary of $235,520. Also, according to the article, he'll be receiving continual increases yearly, along with additional language that greatly benefits his contract in the district. The article sparked interest among teachers, since Mr. Pacino's leadership has been recognized and he had been compensated for a short time in our district, including a leave of absence that lasted several months. Now, in the article, it quotes, Mr. Pacino emphasized the district's progress, noting improvements in test scores. End of quote. If the teachers in this district are doing such a great job, then why does the district continue to request a yearly teacher salary CEA exemption and have a huge amount of money in reserves? We teachers also deserve to feel appreciated and valued for our time, our hard work, our dedication to this district. Obviously, there's a plethora of funds to be shared among us all who work in the district. To end this report, I'd like to wish the teachers of the district a well-rested week off. You deserve it. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for your time, Parkland Faculty Association.
Thank you. California School Employees Association.
Can you hear me? Good evening, board members and administration. Dulce Sandoval, CSDA chapter president. I have come out of hibernation. My schedule has finally freed up a little. So we have finally reached the first long break of the school year, and it's much needed for staff and students. Our yearly germs and illnesses have been making their way around campus, and we have runny noses, coughing, and sneezing at every turn. Winter sports have begun at the middle school and high school campuses. Parent-teacher conferences are beginning to wind down this week, and award ceremonies are being held to showcase our students' accomplishments. We're excited to finally see the district on offering district staff CPR first aid classes. We've been advocating to get staff trained for several years now, and it's great to see the district finally listening and offering 2 sessions this school year. I myself have signed up for the first session being offered this month, and I'm excited for the start of providing classified staff the opportunity to be trained. It's unfortunate that we've lost a principal at Mark Twain, as that site has been having huge behavior issues all year and requires the support of a full administrative staff team. I don't believe that seeking in-house applicants to serve as an interim principal is the best approach by the superintendent, as that will leave another site short-staffed, and we're already short-staffed at several sites. The suggestion of a survey to seek out public input for qualities in the principal is not ideal, and we've seen it does not work. By this point, the district and the board should know what is needed in a new principal for this site. Previous surveys should have sufficient information on what qualities the community seeks. I would also advise that Mark Twain staff be surveyed on what they believe is needed in their new leader, and also the site staff and the unions may be included in the interview process, as having a varied interview panel is beneficial to choose the best possible candidate. We are looking for longevity in the new principal and a commitment to the community and students, not just someone using us as a stepping stone for a higher position. The students and staff deserve a committed individual looking to build a connection for years to come and improve the overall campus culture and environment. The behaviors at the elementary levels continue to increase, and several classified staff members continue to be injured in the process. CSEA continues to advocate for the district to be open to adding different job titles, job descriptions, and pay ranges to address the needs of different types of class settings for paraprofessionals. The behavioral issues continue to increase year after year, and the district continues to fall severely behind other districts that have evolved and expanded on having different types of parapositions. We've experienced an increase in district office administrations trying to change or add duties to classified positions without consulting CSEA and taking the proper steps. We do not condone insubordination of our members, but at times it may be the only way that we will be heard. Negotiations have been slowly moving along, and we've had 3 meetings so far with the district in October, and we are scheduled to meet again in December. It's extremely frustrating when the district's team is not well prepared and we end up wasting time in caucus instead of actually negotiating. The sharing of requested data is frustrating at times, since it may take longer than expected, or it's incomplete, and that stalls our discussion of counter proposals. The district radios for staff. There seems to be a shortage of district radios available for sites. We've come across several situations where radios are not regularly available for yard duty supervisors or paraprofessionals on duty. This is a safety concern and should be addressed by investing in purchasing more radios to have in a district's inventory in the event they are damaged or a site requires more. These are tools required for our members to be able to complete their job responsibilities. Our cell phones are not to be used as a means of communication for a job, since we are not provided a district cell phone or an incentive to pay our personal phone bill. And we are saddened by the recent senseless act of violence towards one of our students that resulted in the loss of his life. The district administration must remain vigilant, because these situations almost always result in more violence within the community that may even expand into our school campuses. I hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your loved ones. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Public comment. Members of the public wanting to provide public comments on items listed on tonight's agenda, we recommend you fill out a public comment form on the table in the forum and hand it to Ms. Gonzalez before the item comes up on the agenda. We recommend you complete a separate form for each agenda item you want to comment on. Members of the public providing comment, please use microphone on the podium in the middle of the boardroom. Okay. Do we have any public comment? Action items, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? I motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mm-hmm.
So I will again voice my concern about sending staff to out of state for training when California, CSBA and all kinds of other training can be done in California. So that is a concern. My second concern is in looking at the request, according to the notification, breakfast and lunch is going to be provided by the training facility. We should not be paying our staff per diem for breakfast or lunch, and it slipped by 4 people that auto penned it and sent it to the board. Again, I'm going to say, you need to review the documents that you send to the board. Everyone has a responsibility to review it and make sure it's accurate before it comes to this board. I think it's like a broken record. Thank you.
Do you need to address?
Yeah, so I believe, yes, we'll review them. Part of it is that is an estimate, and then when it comes back at the end for actual payout, then all of that's kind of squared away. So that's normally the process.
But if it says it's paying for breakfast and lunch, you don't even put it on the
Right. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's see, vote, roll call, Sandra? Aye. Valerie?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Patty? Aye. And I. Personnel, approval of contract amendment for 24-25 superintendent employment contract and confirmation of retroactive payment. So on October 22nd, 2025, the board approved the new contract for Superintendent Vecina. The contract places the superintendent on step 3 of the salary schedule beginning in 2025. This action will confirm the retroactive payment based on step 2 for the 2024-2025 school year and step 3 for the 2025-26 salary schedule. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to deny it.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, not familiar with this process. Do we do a discussion?
Yeah, so what you would do first is go through it and then see if everybody agrees. If there's not an agreement on that, then you can open it again for another vote, and someone would, in essence, do the opposite, make a motion to approve. And so really you did a motion to approve.
Mhm.
So really that should go first.
Okay,
They're just saying that they're gonna say no during that motion. So you would say motion to approve if someone would first, second, vote, and it can be 3-2, that would be the
okay.
Discussion.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do the motion to approve. Do I hear a motion to approve? I go ahead and motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I would like to hear the discussion.
Discussion before the approvals? Okay, go ahead and let's do the discussion.
So when we were reviewing the employment contract, so this is what he's asking for, is to go to salary step 2. We never agreed and we never discussed for the 2024-2025 school year to place Mr. Pacina on the step 2 of the salary schedule. It was that he was requesting more money, he was out of his contract, in addition to his 1.5 that is mandated by the contract and the COLA that was given to everybody else. We said no, that we would go by the contract for the 2024-2025 school year. How would you like to put a 2024 retroactive to a salary schedule that was not adopted until a year and a half later? Makes no sense. And that is why I'm going to say no. That is out of ordinary, that is not within the contract, and that is not what this board agreed to.
So during the meetings with our attorney, we did discuss it because we did not bring his contract up the last evaluation, that we would go ahead and go retroactive. So this was based on the conversations and the meeting that we had with, attorney made.
Retroactive for the 25 school year, based on the new salary schedule. There was never any discussion for the 2024-2025 that he would go to salary step 2. Matter of fact, it was discussed when we talked about placing him in salary step 2. In order to negotiate with the other items that this board wanted, we agreed to place him in step 3. That's what we agreed on. The contract for the original contract should be binding until the new salary schedule is placed in effect. And that's what we did. So if you're saying you want to go back and retroactive 2024-2025 to the salary schedule, to the new salary schedule, then what about the 1-year extension that he was already given? That is based on the old salary schedule, on his old contract, I mean, not the salary schedule.
The only reason why this was brought back up was because during the October meeting, this was supposed to be part of the readout based on the discussion with the attorney, and it was left out. Megan apologized for it being omitted from the contract. And I know I recall that we did discuss, because there was 2 evaluations, so we said, no, we're not gonna go ahead and grant anything for the first year evaluation because it was very short time when he first arrived to have the evaluation. But we did agree to do something retro for the second year. So that is the reason why this was brought forward, and discussions with the attorney was done after the last meeting to make this whole. I don't really know what else to tell you other than that was based on the attorney conversations, based on the meetings that we had as a board. I don't recall, to me, the step 2 portion of it is a little bit, I guess, confusing because we were not on a step, we were on a regular evaluation salary. So we did discuss, though, a retro pay for the last year that we did not bring the contract back after the positive or satisfactory evaluation that we had.
Discussion for the retro was based on the old original contract, not the new salary schedule. So I'm going to disagree with you.
So what does that difference make?
And really, theoretically, if you do the math, it's $965 difference. That's not the point. Point is, the contract was in place until we adopted the new salary schedule and placed them in step 3. That contract is binding. We never agreed to retro 24-25 to salary step 2. Never was that discussed.
Can I interject on something? So part of it, other than what President Cisneros already mentioned, the backup for this was because also for STIRS, because of the jumps. So that's why Miss Macy actually in the packet itself, there's the signature page with the readout was for the STIRS component as well, because they look at all those things when they're looking at retirement. And so in addition to what you stated already, and I don't want to get too much into it because a lot of this conversation was in closed session. So that's the other piece. And that's why we're here at this point with this part already. So I think at this point, moving forward with, with the vote first, and then, if it's 2 that are no, then it's documented that way. I mean, it's really that, but, I would advise that that's kind of where we go.
Do we have any, probably wasn't any record or anything because it was closed session, but my only concern is that we did discuss and we did agree to not do the first year, only the second year retro. So that's my point where I'm still like, we agreed on that. I'm not sure where's the wiggle room to go back on.
I think you can move forward to see if somebody wants to approve.
Okay. So then do I have a motion to approve? I go ahead and motion to approve. As I recall, this is the attorney's discussions that we had. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All right, roll call. Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
No.
Sammy?
No.
Patty?
Aye.
And I. Okay. business, consider agreement for architectural services for Park Elementary School TK Playground with McGinnis Associates, Inc. Danielle?
Good evening. So the district did receive one-time funding for TK implementation, and with those funds, we would like to explore adding a TK playground on the campus. The agreement with Mangini is the next step in getting all the documents prepared for that.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I go ahead and motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
And I. Consider an agreement for project management services with School Site Solutions, Vicente Rojas.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this is for agreement for services from School Site Solutions with the current project at Kings Lake for that area. To help us facilitate any type of letters or any recommendations with the bottom agencies noted on the package, with one of them being DTESC. So it'll be the agreement for that agency to help us in letters or stuff like that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I second. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call, Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
And I. Thank you, Mr. Ross. And we have the next one, consider an agreement of sampling services with McCluskey Consultants.
Check it out. It's same, these are different, Macaulay consultants. It's for some sampling at the same site, Kingsley, close to it and adjacent with that or new property, just where the building's gonna sit. So they're gonna do some more, they're gonna perform some sampling just to make sure everything's right with the soil and whatnot, and then keep going with the project.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I second.
Valerie second, Sandra. Any discussion? Right, roll call, Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
And I. Future agenda items. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and identify closed session topics. The following topics have been identified for closed session: conference with labor negotiator, personal matters. Any public comment on closed session items? No. Okay, thank you. There's none, so we can go ahead and adjourn to closed session at 7:12. Do I need a motion to this? Do that?
That was.